Good evening, I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. In the face of heavy criticism from public officials, social activist David Comachong is holding firm his claim that permission given for the construction of the Hyatt Hotel on Bay Street was done so unlawfully. However, Barbadians will have to wait at least another 2 weeks for a decision on the matter. Kareem Smith reports.
In a case which continues to be of significant public interest, social activist and attorney at law David Comachong and Deputy Solicitor General Donna Brathwaite appeared before Mr. Justice Randall Worrell in the High Court. It was to hear the application by Mr. Comachong for a court order suspending construction on the highly anticipated Hyatt on Bay Street. However, in just over 10 minutes, a unanimous agreement was reached to suspend arguments until Tuesday, May 9th, when the substantive matter will be heard. It's about whether the Prime Minister acted outside of his power in granting permission to start construction of the hotel without following the procedure set out in the physical development plan. Mr. Comachong, however, remains confident that Barbadians will be given justice.
The Minister should have said to Mr. Maloney, like any other applicant in Barbados for such a project, you have to do an environmental impact assessment. You have to share the results of that environmental impact assessment with the people of Barbados. You have to hold a town hall meeting at which the people of Barbados, including the residents of Wellington Street and Nelson Street and that whole Bay Street area, can come and ask questions and raise objections if they wish to raise objections. And all of that has to be done before I, the Minister, can make a decision on this application.
Mr. Comachong's decision has come under serious scrutiny, with some accusing him of playing politics.
When you seek to damage your reputation in the country that my children have to grow up in, and my nieces and nephews and my constituents, I cry shame on you.
However, he had a lot to say about those who, in his view, are trying to undermine his ability to exercise his rights.
It is wrong for anybody, any government minister, anybody in authority, to be trying to suggest to the people of Barbados that a citizen of this country does not have the right or is somehow doing something wrong by asking his Supreme Court to look into, to review, to look over the actions of a government department or minister of government to determine whether those actions were in accordance with the law of Barbados.
A loss is at stake if government is proven to be at fault. The court's decision could be the difference between billions of dollars in investments and whether or not some 4,500 Barbadians get jobs. But in 2 weeks' time, the courts are expected to have the final say. Kareem Smith, CBC News.
Thanks, Kareem. Meanwhile, Barbadians seem to have mixed views on whether the Hyatt should be constructed. The House of Assembly has resumed, with Housing Minister Dennis Kelman stoutly defending the proposed Hyatt Hotel project. But the opposition Barbados Labour Party is not convinced by some of the proposed benefits. Lisa Broom has more.
When the House of Assembly resumed after its Easter break, its first order of business was to vest in the National Housing Corporation the land on which the London-born Towers was built back in the 1990s. In piloting the legislation, Housing Minister Dennis Kelman says it's critically important that developments like these always come with open spaces that can provide opportunities for people living in the surrounding areas. He says that's what will happen when the proposed Hyatt Hotel is built on Bay Street.
I find it very short-sighted to some people who cannot appreciate that any development that comes close to London-born Towers on Nelson Street or so on can only be a positive and not a negative. And anybody who stands in the way should be seen as the enemy not only of the state, but must be seen as the enemy to the people who are also living in the London-born Towers, because they are depriving them of an opportunity of having a job, of being able to provide a service to service the debt or service the liability that they have with the NHC at some point in time.
Mr. Kelman, who is also the St. Lucie MP, says future housing development in areas like the city will have to continue to be high-rise in nature. But he says government is looking at ways to reduce expenses associated with that type of construction. Meantime, opposition MP Santia Bradshaw says the Barbados Labour Party is not convinced of all the benefits that Hyatt supporters are proposing.
We have not heard with clarity from those responsible for the project that the people of this city, that the Honourable Minister, the Honourable Member for the city represents, that he can go to them and say, yes, you are going to have an area that is going to be green. You're going to have a reduction of the number of pit toilets in the city. We have not heard anything about that. We have not heard about the upgrade of the facilities in the city that surrounds the Hyatt. So it is not a difficulty with the Hyatt project. It is the silence of this administration on issues that matter to people and the ability of people to plan their daily lives that the Barbados Labour Party and the people of this country will continue to have a difficulty with this administration for.
Ms. Bradshaw, who is the MP for St. Michael South East, adds that while the BLP supports the resolution, it also wants a full debate on government's housing policies. She says the projects at the Grotto and Valerie were both filled with problems, as highlighted in last year's Auditor General report, and those are the types of issues that need to be discussed. Lisa Broom, CBC News.
Finance Minister Chris Sinclair is tonight stating emphatically that there were no cost overruns on the Grotto or Valerie housing projects. And he says he is willing to dispute any documentation suggesting otherwise. According to him, all projects start with an original base estimate which must be approved by Parliament.
Regardless of whether they are eventually tendered or not, estimates are done. An original base estimate is done. And in many respects, those estimates can come to Parliament, can come to Cabinet, as they do go to boards, as they do go to ministries, departments. And they may tell you what a basic price is estimated for a particular set of works, whatever those works may be. It does not mean, Mr. Speaker, sir, that is the be-all and end-all, the beginning and the end of the costing of that particular set of works. That just gives you a general idea of what your costs might be.
A government minister believes the legal department within the National Housing Corporation needs to move speedily to ensure that landowners are compensated in a timely manner when their property is acquired. Transport and Works Minister Michael Lashley, who is a former housing minister, says landowners in some cases are waiting far too long to be paid for their land.
See how we can better and better and efficiently get these matters resolved as soon as possible. Because at the end of the day, Madam Deputy Speaker, I own land, I have the land for my estate, I have the land for my children and my grandchildren, and I'm disenfranchised by the state, and then the state believes that they can pay me some 15 or 20 years thereafter. I am saying that reasonable time under the Act thereafter cannot be 15 or 20 years.
Health Minister John Boyce thinks there is much more scope for development in the city that would add value to Barbados' inscription as a World Heritage Site. And he's eyeing the stretch where the London-born towers are built.
That entire Bay Street area is ripe with opportunities for heritage, tourism, development, the restoration of a number of beautiful properties along the Bay Street area that can add to that heritage of which we are so proud.
A former housing minister says there is a dire need for a program of renewal and upliftment in urban Barbados. Opposition Member of Parliament for St. George North, Glenn Clark, says there are still too many derelict homes and by extension communities along the urban corridor.
I went to St. Michael Central, I went to the city of Bridgetown. I went to a number of areas and I saw for myself that there are people who are living without electricity. There are people who are living without running water. I want to find out if the government is satisfied that there are people within your constituency who cannot pay their water bill, who cannot pay the electricity, whose electricity bills have been cut off for more than 6 months, and therefore the Power came and took out the meters. We cannot be satisfied as a government that persons still exist, still living in conditions that are not suitable for human habitation.
Misleading. That's how officials in Barbados have described a United States State Department report which identifies Barbados among a number of countries which the U.S. regards as major money launderers. The Attorney General's office has issued a statement rejecting the report, noting that it cited a number of generic methods of money laundering that may be found in any country. The AG's office says while the areas of criminal activity cited are present in the country, Barbados' best intelligence does not support the view that they are at proportions which would have a significant impact on the local economy or the international financial sector. The statement notes funds which may be laundered in Barbados are minuscule when measured on the scale of international laundering. The AG's office adds that Barbados is not a world financial center and therefore any larger than usual financial transaction which takes place will receive immediate attention both here and abroad. It says the authorities here will continue to do all in their power to ensure that Barbados remains a clean and safe jurisdiction in which to live, work and do business. Okay, we'll take a short break here and come back with more news.
Catch all the action, results and analysis on CBC Sports Night. Brought to you on Wednesday's compliments, Fast Cash. Smarter, faster, better.
Given its rich history and the economic benefits derived, rum producers have been assured of government's commitment to the expansion of this important sector. We hear more in this report from Kishmar Sinjust.
The commitment from Minister of Commerce Donville Innes was conveyed during a reception and tasting of authentic Caribbean rum brands. It was organized by the West Indies Rum and Spirits Producers Association, or WIRSPA. Mr. Innes updated those present of government's efforts to assist the rum industry. They were told that the process of acquiring geographical indicators for Barbados' rum has started. This will assist in marketing the product more successfully.
I can say to you that that has already been submitted to the Registrar of Corporate Affairs, and they certainly work with the Attorney General's office to ensure that all the necessary work is done to then take it to the international market where we can get that seal of approval. Also, the development of a strategic repositioning of the industry to incrementally convert bulk rum to primarily branded rum. And the simple reality about it is that the days of bulk rum are perhaps not the way for the future. Branded rums is the way to go for us in the Caribbean.
The tourism sector was also invited to come on board. Mr. Innes wants them to market rum as the spirit of choice. Chairman of WIRSPA, Dr. Frank Ward, says rum is a product the region should be proud of. He says the sector, however, continues to face challenges centered around its inability to compete effectively.
We are faced in some jurisdictions with what we consider to be unfair competition from rum, which derives unfair subsidies. This is an issue that we have attempted to prosecute for a number of years. It is a very, very long road ahead of us, but the one thing I can say about WORSPA members is that they never ever give up. They will continue to fight. And it's very, very important that the industry has a very, very close working relationship with the governments in the region.
Kudos were also paid to the hard work of Neil Morris, the authentic Caribbean brand rum ambassador.
But I am a lucky man. I've spent 10 years, you might remember that line, Dr. Ward, 10 years here in the Caribbean, and it's been like attending a rum university. I have studied under some of the greatest people in this country.
Authentic Caribbean rum is being made in 15 territories across the Caribbean. Kishma St-Gis, CBC News.
Thousands of primary school students returned to the classroom today following the 2-week Easter vacation. However, for many Class 4 students across the island, it marked the last lap of preparation for the Barbados Secondary School Common Entrance Examination, commonly referred to as the 11+. Rianne Phillips reports.
It's crunch time for Class 4 students. Many of them have been using several methods to gear up for the exam.
I did past papers, and I also got help from my teacher, and they encouraged me, and I feel comfortable about the exam next week.
I prepared for the exam by getting help from my family members, my teachers, doing maths and English tests, and I feel confident about the exam.
During our Easter holiday, we had classes here with our teachers, and we did a few of the Benko papers, and we did the math and the English and some other papers, and we have been revising what we did before, and we have been doing more and more revision and practicing some more.
I have been preparing by doing past papers, revising with my teacher, and going through stuff that she has been doing with us. I feel confident by giving up TV and studying really hard.
Over at Charles F. Broome, over 90 students have completed 14 practice exam papers.
We've been having a series of practice examinations because children coming from Class 3 see the common entrance as this colossus that stands before them. So we spend some time trying to demystify it, and we give them practice tests every Tuesday because, as I said, practice makes permanent.
And those papers have really helped.
We've even gone to Spring and done the tests like how it would be done on the common entrance day, so they've really helped me to build my confidence and to remember to check over and stuff like that.
I went from going from 70s in math all the way up to 90s, and my teacher really helped me a lot in math.
In the next few days, teachers will be focusing on problem areas.
We're just going to go through some corrections and get them all ready. And any way in which they need some help, I am willing and able to help them.
For this week and next week, we'll be coming in at 12:30. We will have less time on the pasture, and we will go from there.
I plan to consolidate on the areas in which I can see that some of them are having some challenges with. So we're basically into full revision mode, full consolidation mode.
Students will write the exam at 22 centers across the island next Tuesday. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
Using digital technology is the way to go if Barbados is to remain globally competitive. For this reason, Minister in the Prime Minister's office, Senator Darcy Boyce, supports the Training and Administration Department's decision to offer online courses.
The Training and Administration Department's innovations must therefore be recognized as a step in the right direction of contributing to Barbados's global competitiveness. Internet-based learning technologies will undoubtedly result in enhanced levels of productivity, as public officers will be able to learn at their own pace, access information at a time that is convenient for them, and equally important, learning can be accessed by remote students that otherwise will not be able to travel to a classroom.
Senator Boyce's comments came at the launch of TAD's new website, mobile application, and virtual classroom. He also suggests the creation of a virtual public service college in the near future. Deputy Principal Training Officer of TAD, Faye Marie Brown, believes the new features will allow more civil servants to develop their professional skills.
Will allow members of the public service to view, access services, and to conduct business with the division. It is intended through the use of the website to facilitate the application processes for subscription to training courses, study, and training leave. The virtual classroom is expected not only to widen the division's reach in terms of public officers accessing learning, but it presents an alternative mode for the delivery of learning that will cater to all learning needs.
Friends and family of veteran entertainer Antoine Brother Daddy Williams are launching a fundraising effort to help him cover major medical costs. Williams has reportedly been diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, which has spread to his liver. His insurance plan will not adequately cover the almost $200,000 in medical expenses. As a result, a series of fundraising projects are being organized, some of which will start this weekend with a benefit show. A press conference to announce the details of the other events and initiatives is being held tomorrow. After the break, we'll take a look at stories making headlines across our region.
Good morning. On the Wednesday edition of Morning Barbados, we will spend some time with you, at least 2 hours from 6 o'clock. And of course, we'll be hearing from our little friends at the Blackman and Gollop Primary School. Their Calypso competition is coming up.
Some good talent there. Also, good information with our doctor on the line, Adrian Lord, will be in. What will be the topic? You watch and find out.
And of course, we give you a chance to meet the talent. All that and more on the Wednesday edition of Morning Barbados.
See you at 6.
Good morning.
MCTV and HBO are hosting a movie night featuring the Angry Birds movie. We're inviting our subscribers to the movie package to join us on Sunday, May 7th, 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the Olympus Theaters. Come, watch the movie, take photos with the Angry Bird character, loads of selfies, and just have fun. Why are the birds so angry? Come see Red, Chuck, and Bomb foil Leonard's plans. Collect your movie pass from the MCTV office Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There will be a maximum of 3 passes per valid account number, 2 for children ages 5 through 11, and 1 for an adult 16 years and over. Conditions apply. It's the MCTV HBO Movie Night, Sunday, May 7th, Olympus Theaters. See you at the movies.
MCTV and HBO Movie Night, with the compliments of Star Chick, Kids World Rentals, Pix Photo Booth, Pine Hill, Sunrise Chick, and Julie Party Rentals.
Fast Promotions presents the Digicel Reggae on the Hill. Sunday, April 30th, Farley Hill National Park. Doors open at 11 a.m. Featuring none other than Tom Neal, Coco T, Top Gun, Capleton, Sanchez, Bugle, Sprague Benz, plus Buggy and the Fully Loaded, featuring Daniel, Risa and Tabitha, Superfrost, Triple X, Easy B, Emperor Reno, and the BCC Reggae Ensemble, hosted by Vane and Peter Coppin. See you at the Digicel Reggae on the Hill, Sunday, April 30th, Farley Hill National Park.
Lawmen in the Turks and Caicos Islands are now better equipped to react swiftly to threats at their borders. This after signing a data sharing agreement with the U.S. and several CARICOM member states during a 3-day event hosted by the Customs and Border Protection Agency. The agreement uses the Advanced Passenger Information System, which provides customs officers with flight manifests on all passengers and crew members before a flight leaves or arrives. U.S. Ambassador to Barbados Linda Tagliatella believes immediate access to such data is an asset to member countries.
It's very important to have people being able to share information, as the Deputy Premier said, in real time, so that people can be, people of interest can be tracked through the region and throughout the globe. It's a very good security tool. It is good for passenger security as well as good security of individual countries.
Deputy Premier of Turks and Caicos, Sean Astwood, expects that local law enforcers will find it easier to detect people of interest.
While we have always worked along with different countries with sharing of information, signing on to this agreement allows for a more structured protocol in that the Joint Regional Communication Center, where the information will be passed on to a carrier troop, can aid us better in being able to communicate to a structured manner with the other countries.
Last Tuesday, the Department of Emergency Management successfully launched exercise Tradewinds. Its mission is to promote regional security and cooperation initiatives. And as we dig a little deeper, we're joined now by Director of the Department of Emergency Management, Carrie Hines. Good night, Director Hines. Wonderful to have you.
Good night. Thanks for having me on set.
Okay, wonderful. So we understand that you're aiming, as we just said, to promote regional security and cooperation initiatives. That's pretty much on the surface. Can you dig a little deeper and let's know more about the exercise Tradewinds?
Well, Exercise Tradewinds 2017 is a key multinational, multi-agency exercise hosted in the Caribbean every year. Yeah. This year, Barbados and Trinidad will play host to Exercise Tradewinds. And we look really to test not only the national security mechanism, but the national emergency management mechanism. And of course, we will test our plans and procedures, and we will seek to overwhelm the system so that we can have our regional partners play in the exercise this year. We will have interventions from not only the Caribbean states, but from international states as well, such as the US, Canada, the French, etc.
So when you say overwhelm the system, what exactly mean if Barbados is overwhelmed?
We have a national emergency mechanism in place, which will be activated if there is a hazard or some type of emergency or disaster. We will bring to bear our national resources to deal with the issue. But of course, there are some scenarios that will necessitate us having to ask for external support, and external support from not only regional countries, but of course from international countries. The international community will come to assist us.
Yeah. So I can imagine then in a situation like that, this would serve also as a massive training exercise.
Yes, it would, not just for our national authorities, but for the regional agencies and the regional countries as well, because we want to, in this exercise, we want to see how best we can synchronize our plans and procedures so that it is seamless.
Yeah. This is, as you said, seamless. Your reading here, your theme says it's a seamless state partnership for a secure region. Can you expand on that theme a bit and tell me some of the objectives of the exercise?
Seamless in the sense that we look to test our interagency coordination. So for example, the coordination between the Department of Emergency Management and the emergency services such as police, defense force, fire service, and other agencies. And we hope that that in itself we will achieve that seamless coordination that is needed once we have to deal with an incident. And seamless in the sense that this year Tradewinds will not only happen in Barbados but in Trinidad, and we want the exercise to run from Barbados straight into Trinidad without a stop and start sort of scenario, which we usually have for exercise Tradewinds.
Okay, wonderful. That was the Director of the Department of Emergency Management, Carrie Hines. Okay, a peek into the world of sports is just ahead, but before we get there, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.